Let's just take a breath together before we dive in. Just a deep, slow inhale. And an exhale that lets your body soften a little. You know, if you're here listening, it's because you've already walked a long way on your path. You've studied, you've healed, you've held space for your children, your clients, your community. And still, there are those moments, right? The ones where you feel like something's in the way. Like no matter how much you try, no matter how much you've grown, there's a part of you that's still hitting that invisible ceiling. I know that feeling so incredibly well. And it's not that you're broken, it's just that old beliefs, often the ones that we don't even see, are quietly shaping what we allow ourselves to receive. So in today's episode, I want to explore some of the most common core limiting beliefs that hold us back. The ones that stop us from really flourishing. The ones that stop us from success, from channeling our higher guidance clearly, and from living in that grounded, embodied state of enlightenment that we all crave. This isn't about fixing or forcing or anything. It's just about bringing gentle awareness to the parts of us where we still haven't integrated these things and where we've been unconsciously holding ourselves small. And we want to open up the possibility of something lighter, clearer, more true, and better. So if you're ready, let's walk into this together.
You're listening to the Intuitive Mastery Podcast. Hi, I'm Kate Connolly, and with over 15 years of intuitive healing and teaching experience, I'm here to help you celebrate intuition and value authenticity to create a world where you have the freedom to live your best life. This podcast is here to teach you how to apply the principles of spirituality, healing, and mindset to have true and lasting joy, all from the inside out. This is the Intuitive Mastery Podcast.
It's so nice to be back here. I'm excited to talk to you about this. For those of you who have been following me a little bit, my name is Kate Connolly. I run an intuitive mastery school, and my job really is to help whoever is interested, whoever is ready on their own spiritual path. So by spiritual, I mean just delving into themselves, learning about themselves, healing stuff, and creating a place of heaven on earth inside their lives, on planet Earth, in their bodies as they are. And the way that we do that is by exploring various different aspects of ourselves to see where we might be holding back, the areas that might be blocked, the areas that we might need to revisit or to reframe or to work through differently so that we can actually create what it is that we're looking for and what our hearts truly desire. So part of my job here, part of my soul mission and my purpose is to actually help you find that and to help you work through whatever is getting in your own way. Because let's face it, we all have those things. And if you're not sure whether you have those things, take a look at your life. Is your health perfect? Are your relationships joyful, uplifting, connected, loving, deep, profound? Is your career rewarding? Do you love your work? Are you earning the money that you want to earn? Are you having the lifestyle that you want? Do you have an abundance of friends if that's what you're looking for? Do you have the lifestyle and the joy that you've been craving your whole life from deep within? And if you don't, well, then one of these things may be showing up for you. I'm going to take you through some of the, more common limiting beliefs. There's so many, but often they can kind of be grouped into particular areas. And I was really struck by this last week. I did a session with an incredible healer, and it came up with worthiness. Now, this is absolutely not something that I've experienced in this lifetime, like at all. There are many, many things I've experienced, many, many shadows, many, many things that I need to work through. But worthiness has not been one of them. And yet, when I was doing this healing process, there were all of these things in my current life that actually had the core limiting belief of unworthiness. And as we explored it, I realized, wow, this is actually completely a past life issue. This has nothing to do with current reality, but wow, the impact is actually quite enormous. So when we kind of dive into this work, it is really interesting to just see where these things come from and how we can actually clear them. Now, it doesn't have to be years sitting in a psych's office, and I do like psychology, so it's not a diss, but we don't have to spend years working on these things. We can find these things in real time. We can go in and do really deep, profound healings on them, and then have things shift and transform in our daily life as we know it. And that's the goal. That's actually the goal. I don't want people to think that our only goal in life is to sit and commiserate about the past and to dive into old identities and to, dive into the struggle and find, joy in the pain, because that's 100% not the goal. The goal is always to bring in the most amount of joy, the most amount of uplifting enlightenment, the most amount of dreams come true. And the way that we do that is not only by trying to focus on what it is that we want to call in on some level, but it's also meeting the parts of us that are stopping that reality from happening. And if we can learn to get over ourselves a little bit and have the ego deaths around not wanting to see those parts, and that's like a whole other topic, by the way. If we allow ourselves to see each of these things as medicine, there is nothing wrong with you. You haven't done anything wrong, but it doesn't change the fact that we all have something or many things that are stopping us from creating that. And if we can be open and if we can really embrace that with every element of our being, we can absolutely 100% get to that place of joy and happiness in our lives, where we feel like life is in flow, like our dreams are coming true and that we're stepping in the right direction. So in order to do that, I want to take you through a few, definitely not all, but a few of the core limiting beliefs that create this problem. Now, I've already clued you into one because I did it last week, and that is unworthiness, okay? So this glass ceiling of worthiness basically has this belief of I'm not worthy of having it all. Or maybe I'm not even worthy of having anything. I'm not worthy of success, of love, of joy, of health. Like there's going to be like a multitude of different ways this is going to show up in your life. It's not just one thing. And this is the beauty of finding the core limiting beliefs. It's almost like we have this root structure, and the root structure is where the core limiting belief sits. But then all of the shoots that come off of that are going to be different areas of your life. So it could be you're not earning the money that you want to earn. It could be that you find it really difficult to stick to a really healthy diet. It could be that no matter what you do, you can't seem to feel safe enough to be vulnerable with your partner. Like there's so many different ways that those shoots could come out. But ultimately what we're dealing with is that core limiting belief. And once we can identify that and become really clear about what that is, then that is the most powerful medicine that we can start to tap into. Because once we heal that energy and that feeling of unworthiness, then all of these shoots don't need to be there anymore. We don't actually need to have that construct in our lives because the thing that created them is not there. So as we integrate and heal these different core limiting beliefs within us, we then basically give ourselves permission to transmute that in every area of our lives, which I find really exciting, right? Because that's the goal. The goal is let's create the life of our own design. Let's create the life of our dreams, whatever your dreams are, whatever they mean to you, whatever mine mean to me. If I'm not reaching them, if I'm not already well on my way, if I'm not doing it with flow and ease, if I'm not seriously feeling good about moving in that direction, I will have a core limiting belief that is impacting my ability to get there. Okay? Just a full stop, the end statement. I so wish I was wrong, but I have spent 20 years doing all the things, manifesting, energy clearing, inner child work, hypnotherapy, like all the things. I've done all the things, right? And at the end of the day, if I'm not moving to where I want to be, I need to explore myself, my own inner world. And it doesn't matter how that's showing up. if that's showing up as a mean person, if that's showing up as a workplace that is unsupportive, if that's showing up as people disrespecting me, it doesn't matter what that looks like, because all of those things I've deliberately placed as things outside of myself. But we also need to recognize that our world is a reflection of our thoughts, beliefs, and feelings. So if we have distortions in those thoughts, beliefs, and feelings, that's going to be reflected back to us in our life. And I'm not saying take responsibility for other things and other people, no. But take a look at your own attractor field. Wow, that's so interesting that I attracted that. I wonder what's going on for me. I wonder what lesson, information, medicine that I have for me that I can work through so that I don't attract this stuff anymore. This is what it all boils down to. Okay? So if we have worthiness, it is that sense of I can't have it all. I can't have those things. I'm not worthy of ... Okay? So it usually shows up as settling for like partial blessings, okay? So it could be health or love or money or spiritual connection, but not all of them. Or it might just be, well, I can get to 60% health, but I can't get to 100% health. And that's good enough for me. The amount of people that just say, well, I'm not in constant symptomatic mode, so that's good enough, I actually find quite irritating personally, which is my own stuff, obviously. But there's so much more available. There is so much more available to us. Why are we not allowing ourselves to go there? It's worthiness. It's all about worthiness, okay? So what it does is it creates this inner glass ceiling, all right? This glass ceiling that feels immovable, but is always only ever an illusion. So if we have that unconscious invisible ceiling above our heads, we never feel like we can do better. We don't even sometimes feel like it's an option. Like 100% health, what? That's available to me? How is that even possible? Like, how can I create that when I don't even feel like it's a choice, right? So we need to remember that there have been moments in all of our lives where we've believed that we've had to choose between thriving in one area and scarcity in another, or we felt like we can't have all of something, all right? I have a partner, for example, and I'm not talking about my current partner, hypothetical. I have a partner, and this partner is, they have their issues, okay? They have gaming issues, they drink too much, they're not particularly emotionally connected, but wow, do you know what? They make a mean curry and they wash up, right? And every now and then when the house is dirty, they clean it. I'm not feeling particularly filled up with my love tank, but do you know what? There are so many people that don't even cook, right? So I'm just going to put up with, and I'm going to deal with that 60%er, which is, it's not bad. It's not good, but it's not bad either. So if it's not bad and I'm settled, why would I complain? Why would I try and make things better for myself when they're not abusing me? They're not particularly mean people. They're just not showing up in a way that would actually make me feel amazing, that would make me feel joy. And that's not about them. That's 100% about you. That's about what you feel you're worthy of receiving. And as you change your worthiness thermostat, as you actually heal the parts of you that don't feel like you deserve that 100% love, then that person, that 60%er person, either has to step up to meet your 100% or they have to fall away. Okay? It's never nothing. When you change, when your vibration changes, when you heal, the people around you can never stay the same. It's not possible. So they have choices then. And whether that's unconscious or conscious, they will either step up and become the person that you need them to be because you're going to have boundaries around what you're worthy of, or they go, this is not for me, and they'll just leave. And either way, you'll feel more worthy, you'll feel more capable, and you won't be putting up with 60%ers anymore. You'll only be dealing with those 100%ers. Okay, this is how it manifests in real life. So the reframe is remembering that true worth is not conditional, right? We don't have to get A by sacrificing B. We don't have to put up with glass ceilings that are well below what our soul is calling out for. We don't have to put up with mediocre. That is not actually what we're here on the planet for. We are here on the planet to create joy, to have a soul light that is glowing and whole and healed, that can create a world that is embodied enlightenment, that is joy in a human being. And if we want that, and if that's what our soul is crying out for, and we're still putting up with the 60%ers, this might be a really good time to look at your worthiness energy and see whether that's something that you need to work on. Okay, the second one is the burden of self-doubt. Okay, burden of self-doubt. Now, again, this is not something I've dealt with very much. I've had moments of it, but it's not something that's massively impacted me. And I'm curious to see whether this is going to show up in my healing journey that I'm really diving into at the moment. It very well could be, but I do know that I see this all the time in my practice, like all the time. It's like every second person has this self-doubt. Now, it's self-doubt around their own channel, their own intuition. It's, who am I to be powerful? Who am I to be intuitive? Who am I to be successful? This is where imposter syndrome comes in. This is where that sense of, how do I allow this for myself? It's a little bit separate to worthiness. It's kind of this very much of, I want this, but I doubt that I can actually achieve it. This is something that I feel like I'm worthy of, but how am I going to get there? Because I actually don't feel like that's available to me. Okay. So it shows up really in overthinking, especially when you get spiritual downloads or intuitive advice, and then you go straight into the logical mind. So for an example might be, that's right, I had an example with my business last week, and my higher self came in, gave me some really clear guidance on what I needed to do. And I've been doing this for long enough that I was absolutely like, yeah, that totally makes sense. Yeah, I really need to do that. I'm on it, right? But even, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I may have gone into any kind of sabotage pattern, especially overthinking. Oh, really? Like right now, do I have to do that right now? Is that actually the most important thing? But right now I've got these other 5 things that I'm dealing with. And when I actually go to work on it, I'm actually getting really, confused about what I need to be spending time on, and how I prioritize my time, and how do I actually get this thing happening in the first place. So I go into this overthinking, and I start to dilute the message of what it is that I actually needed to do in the first place. And this is how we kind of dilute our purpose. And when we get our spiritual downloads, when we get intuition downloads from our higher self, and we get this knowing about what it is that we're supposed to do, but we go into our heads instead and we change the narrative, that is an issue, right? That is an issue with self-doubt and not doubting our own wisdom, not doubting our own advice, because ultimately the second we step away from that, we're also stepping away from our soul's purpose. We're also stepping away from what our soul is here to lead us towards. And it doesn't mean that we're going backwards, but we're probably going sideways. And we're definitely not going forward, okay? So if we want to have flow where we're going forward, we're creating what it is that we want, and we're moving in the path of direction of our highest joy, then trusting all of that information that comes through and trusting ourselves is the antidote to this kind of self-doubt and this burden of not being able to move forward and not being able to achieve what it is that we want, okay? So when we stop trusting our body's wisdom, it can be something as simple as food, right? I remember years ago, I ran into our greengrocer guy. I buy all of my fruit and vegetables at markets, and there was this guy who ran one of the stalls, and I used to go there every week for years and years. A really lovely guy, and all of a sudden one day we were chatting about this thing called a lean test. And the lean test is basically where you place the food or the item in front of you, and you close your eyes and you just let yourself be a pendulum. So you're either swinging towards or you're swinging away from the food. And he gave me this beautiful story, which he's kind of like, do you know about this? And I'm like, yeah, I teach this. I didn't say that, but I listened. And we went in, he said, I go into the supermarket and I put all the foods in front of me and I see whether I lean towards them or away from them. And he said, I am flabbergasted at the amount of things I think I can't eat and the amount of things I think I can eat, and see where my body's swinging towards. And sometimes my body will swing towards the most random thing that I would never think I could eat. And other times I'm leaning away from the things that I think I should eat. And he said it's completely transformed what I buy. It's completely transformed how I cook. And I feel so much better for it. And the only way that he could do that is to get out of the logical mind and trust his body, trust the information and trust the wisdom. And as he leans forward or back away from the different foods, that's the cue that he uses as to what to buy and what to put in his body. You can do that with the amount of food. You can do that with the frequency of food. You can do that where you're balancing food and water, for example, or it might be water and rest. Sometimes we're hungry when we're thirsty. Sometimes we're hungry when we're tired. So if we put kind of the concept of food and the concept of rest behind us, and then we're leaning back towards rest, go rest. You don't need food, right? But you have to have a level of self-trust to be able to do that. And if you have a core limiting belief around self-doubt, that is going to be something that's going to get in your way, and you're going to question it. And you're probably going to question the whole thing as ridiculous, and that's fine. So whatever you hear from here, if you like it, great. Take it or leave it. It really is up to you. But if you do understand this concept and believe in this concept of the swing test, give it a try, because it's actually really powerful, and it might actually kind of give you a little bit of a step towards that self-trust and that intuitive kind of guidance and the wisdom there. So how it shows up if you don't have this, you're going to have a clouded channel. You're going to frequently second guess yourself. There's going to be this fragmented perception. All right. So when you're, even if we use the example of the lean test, right? Let's say you put something that you know your body's really good with in front of you, and you lean towards it, or you would lean towards it if you had a full-bodied perception. But let's say you're leaning away from it because you're not really trusting yourself, then you're going to have this fragmented perception over something. So it's not going to be real. It's not going to feel real. You're going to be leaning away from it going, hang on, I really like this food. This food makes me feel amazing. Why am I leaning away from it? And it's because of this limiting belief of self-doubt. It's this fragmented perception of what's actually true and right for you, okay? You're going to have a lot of difficulty hearing your higher self, and you're going to have a lot of difficulty trusting it. So if that's happening to you and this is showing up in your life, give yourself an opportunity to maybe question whether self-doubt is one of your core limiting beliefs here. If you can see doubt as not a proof of inadequacy, but as an old survival imprint from childhood or from your ancestral lineage or past lives, then you've got this kind of portal to move through into the medicine of healing that self-doubt. Okay, number 3, fear of being seen. This is huge. This is really, really big. The biggest belief really is that it's safer to stay small. It's safer to stay hidden. And that often comes up with like a light workers persecution complex. If you've been a healer in a past life and you've been persecuted for it, if you're around people that don't believe in anything that you do or anything that you say, you have this kind of level of people or level of unsafety in being 100% yourself. Now, this can show up anywhere. This can show up with your sexuality. This can show up with your healing abilities. This can show up with your artistic endeavors. It can show up in any aspect of life whatsoever. But the core theme here is that it's not safe for you to be in the fullest expression of who you are meant to be. And that could be anything. That could be an athlete. That could be a princess, whatever it is for you. If you are not able to sit in that fullness of who you really are, you're going to potentially have a core limiting belief around a fear of being seen. Okay, so this one's really big. This happens so much with healers. So many healers are terrified of putting themselves out there. Entrepreneurs, people who are needing to put themselves out in the front of a camera or out on the world stage to succeed. they will often have or can have a core limiting belief around being seen. So they will sabotage unconsciously, or the universe will show them signs of sabotage around making that happen. You might just have this safety in being private and being with a few people that really trust and know you, but the ability to kind of fully step into visibility, you're going to have blocks there. Now, the blocks might show up as all my lighting equipment keeps breaking. The people I'm trying to interview, like the line is really bad, or they never show up, or it's never appropriate, or the ads that I'm trying to put out there, they just keep getting blocked for some reason and I don't know why. There's going to be things that are showing up in your life that's reflecting back to you that visibility is unsafe and it's scary. And I can't even tell you how often this shows up. It's like insanely common, right? There's often lineage tie-ins of persecution or rejection, but also past life tie-ins, really big. And in particular, if you've identified as being a witch at some kind, usually past life, this will most likely be a big thing for you. All right, so the energetic cost, you kind of have this dimmed frequency, you have half embodied light, you're not really stepping into the fullness of who you are meant to be here. And you feel it. Everything just feels too hard. It almost feels like you try to step forward, but the universe pushes you back. So you pull yourself back into this space of being small. And it's safer there, but it's absolutely not joyful. It's usually very uncomfortable, and you usually feel like a failure. There's like this level of, why can't I do this? What's wrong with me? Okay. So just remember, the most important part of this is recognizing that it's there, remembering that it's not your fault, because your intention is to be successful. Your intention is to be out there, right? And find the part of you that created this belief. So it's going to be inner child, ancestral, past life, interdimensional, other aspect of self that's created or been in a situation where this belief is created. And then that is going to have a follow-on effect to however long since then, years, lifetimes, centuries, whatever it might be. And as you heal that original event, you can actually heal everything that happened since then. Okay? So remember, healing it with compassion, allowing higher self-integration, and just give yourself that ability and that invitation to move through it and actually start to create that visibility that you're looking for. And it's healed. Why? Because all of a sudden all those things go away. There's no lighting issues anymore. The people can show up on your interviews. The ads are going through fine. People are showing up on your doorstep. You don't feel scared to step in front of a camera, etc., etc. Okay, so with all of these things, they're done because the blocks go away. All right, they don't exist anymore. You can just move through with ease. And if the blocks are still there, it's an invitation to come back and redo, or go into a deeper level, or recheck the medicine and just see whether you're dealing with the right core limiting belief or whether you need to go somewhere else. Okay, this is a big one too. This is a belief in struggle as a requirement for healing. Okay, so this is a belief that struggling is necessary for growth. And one of the most common ones that I hear in my practice is no pain, no gain. And I really want to challenge that. Why do we have to have pain to gain? Like, why is pain necessary for gain? Why? I believe this most of my life. So this has been a big one for me as well, right? If I'm healing, I need to have a crisis of some kind. Like, everything needs to get worse for a while. Or I definitely need to go through a dark night of the soul in order to move into the next iteration of myself. But do I? Or is that just a belief? Why do we believe that we have to struggle in order to succeed? Why do we have to struggle in order to get the things that our heart and our soul is crying out for? Why does that have to look and feel like a struggle, right? That's just a construct. That's a belief construct, right? Why are we pushing ourselves into that place? And more importantly, when we're in that place, what's the most powerful thing that we can do to stay safe? Well, we don't grow, right? We don't move into the struggle. We keep ourselves safe, but then things never change. Okay, this is huge. What if I open up that Pandora's box and it brings up all of these amazingly painful memories and emotions? And what if it does? What's the worst thing that can happen to you if you have a painful memory? I know it sounds easy. For me, it's easy these days, but I do know that I had periods of time where I found this really difficult. So my heart goes out to you if you're really struggling with this. And just remember that in and of itself is a core limiting belief. Because if we can't move into acknowledging and seeing and recognizing the parts of us that are struggling, how are we supposed to move through them? How can we heal from that if we refuse to see it in the first place? Okay? And it's not necessarily something that we need to dive into either, right? We don't necessarily have to do that. So if we're terrified of looking at ourselves, then we need to kind of give ourselves compassion around that, because that is a very real thing for people. And what we often do instead of seeing our own stuff and working through our own pain, what we do is we suffer in other ways. So either way we're suffering, and that suffering looks like over-sacrificing, over-serving, burning out, like doing everything for everyone else and nothing for ourselves. And we're doing ourselves and other people a great disservice because we're not actually moving through the things we're supposed to move through. What it does as well is it reinforces this cycle of depletion rather than expansion. And every time we feed into that cycle of depletion, we're going to make things harder for ourselves. So we need to remember that enlightenment isn't transcendence through pain. It's not, not at all. It's embodiment through love, clarity, and integration. And the only way that we can fully heal aspects of self is through the energies of love and compassion. When we bring in acceptance and forgiveness, when we allow those parts of us to receive all of the things that they never had, so that they can then integrate into us as a part of the whole. So remember, it's about meeting ourselves where we're at, giving ourselves permission to go into that so that we come through into a place of joy. And it doesn't have to be a suffering experience. We can meet it with humor. We can meet it with love. We can meet it with interest, with curiosity, with excitement. And I know how difficult that can be. If you're dealing with really deep trauma, you're obviously not going to do it from a place of excitement, but curiosity is really, really powerful. And meeting those parts of you with absolute compassion is also extremely powerful. And that's one of the things that will transmute that for you. So it's not about belittling experiences that you've had and making you feel like, oh, well, what's wrong with you? That's just a whatever experience. These things are real and they're extremely painful at times. But it's about giving ourselves permission to move through it into something better. That's really what it's about. And if we have a block around that, then that is what we heal first. And then we can go into the healing processes. There's also this kind of illusion of separation, that your higher self is outside of you. And certainly when people start to integrate their higher selves, they usually see them outside of themselves. But actually the goal is to have them integrated fully. So one of the ways that we show up in terms of this higher self being separate, as in the perfect, enlightened, kind of connected version of me isn't me, it's not a part of me, we then kind of feel like we are lacking. And when we feel like we are lacking, we are then looking to other people or other things as the source. When people are channeling other entities for their own wisdom and guidance, when people are looking to other people to try and validate their experiences, this is when we need to kind of maybe take a look and go, hang on, why am I doing this? Why am I not trusting my own guidance? Why am I not trusting my own higher self? And I'm not against, getting my own guidance and just, it feels good. I'm not 100% sure. I think this is right. I might call a channel friend and just say, hey, can you just help me tune in here? Am I reading this correctly, or am I a little bit off? And they can kind of help with that sometimes, definitely. But as you get more and more experienced as a channel and someone who's connecting to their higher selves, the most important thing we can do is keep trusting it and not looking to other people and not looking to other sources for the validation, right? Just trusting our own guidance. one of the things that it does is it creates a lot of distance between you and your innate divine channel when you're looking for other people for external validation. And even though sometimes that's really important to help validate our own experiences, be really mindful that the people that you ask for advice also have a clear channel themselves, so that they're not projecting their own pain and their own wounding onto you. That's super key. And I have lost count of the amount of times people have done that to me, like countless times. And you once you understand what that feels like, you know it and you're experiencing, well, whoa, that's not okay with me, and I need to kind of trust my own guidance, my own truth kind of lie detector. But when you're in that process, it can feel a little bit more difficult. So definitely ask for help if you need it. Okay, so I have touched on this a little bit, but just bearing in mind that a lot of this is not necessarily in our conscious minds. Most of it, 90% of it won't be. It'll just be showing up in our lives as, blocked abundance, blocked flow. I just can't seem to get this thing to work. I just can't seem to lose that weight. I just can't seem to get that connection with my partner. I'm really trying so hard in my business, but nothing's flowing. Those are the times that we go, what's showing up for me in my belief system? Where is my medicine here? Like, what do I need to work through so that these things can unblock for me? So this is where we start looking. Now, remembering that this can come from ancestral patterns. It can come from past lives. It can come from the collective consciousness. It can come from, if everyone believes that the sky is green and you believe the sky is blue, what color is the sky? Who wins? Like, what's more important? Where's the trust, right? But if everybody around you has been telling you your whole life that the sky is actually green, sometimes we'll actually just fold into that rather than maintaining our own knowingness. And that is super powerful to understand. Have I just bought into the collective, or am I just really not connected to myself? Have I just had some distorted information coming through? Okay. It's really important to be able to read your own soul's blueprint and design and advice. And if you are struggling with that, this is when getting external help is really good. Not to channel for you, but to help you trust your own information, to help you trust your own advice. Okay. Learning how to create miracles, how to receive, how to make space for the miracles, how to call it all in from a place of trust is massive. So if you're wanting a little bit of help with that, this is exactly the work that we do and the space that we live and breathe through inside the Intuitive Mastery School. So if you're interested in joining us, we're here live 6 a.m. every Wednesday morning, Sydney time, and we work through all of this stuff. We allow ourselves to see and recognize and work through core limiting beliefs. We have this ability to kind of fine-tune our channel by understanding ourselves more deeply, working through the things that are getting in the way. And if you want to dive in a little bit more, I'm actually doing a more immersive in-person container in Sydney. I'm going to be doing an alchemy workshop series. So the first one is in September in Sydney, and it's about the alchemy of compassion. So it's about transforming judgment and blame into forgiveness and inner freedom. And I'm also running one in November of this year, it's 2025, called the Alchemy of Radiance. So this is really healing jealousy and shame and turning it into confidence and self-worth. So allowing the transmutation of these core limiting beliefs into something that's more powerful. So if you are interested, just pop a comment below and we can send you those details if you would like to join us for those. But those are full day immersive workshop experiences that are live. And if there is enough interest and people want it to be recorded, then we'll probably do that as well. So if you are interested, please let me know, because those can be extremely powerful experiences. Okay, so as a recap, there's so much in this. We have worthiness, we have self-doubt, fear of visibility, glorification of struggle even, and separation. So all of these can really greatly impact your ability to create your own life by design, to create your own miracles and to have flow, okay? So give yourself an opportunity, if you have some time, to just sit with what resonates really deeply for you and whether this is something that you actually need to heal. And if you have your own healing process, it's fantastic. Go and do that and see whether your life changes. And if it doesn't, there's more to be done. And this is one of the reasons why I have the Intuitive Mastery School, to help people. It's a membership. People just show up every week. It's super affordable. And people just can be in that circle space where they can learn and understand and work through their own stuff in real time. And they're not struggling on their own, because doing it on their own is really, really difficult. I've tried it. It's so much easier to have people witness and hold space for you in that way. And just give yourself the opportunity to stop sometimes and go, okay, this isn't working. And instead of bashing yourself up and leaning into the problem, take a step back and get curious. Why is this struggle showing up? What am I believing around this? And where is my medicine? What do I need to heal here so that I can actually move through into the next version of myself? Okay, that was so much information. I hope it was really helpful. Sending loads and loads and loads of love to you and yours, and I will see you next time.